Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Ed Randall's Talking Rams. Here on this video series, we're paying tribute to those men and women, members of the Athletic Hall of Fame, who distinguished themselves on the field of play and brought honor to Fordham University. We hope you'll pass the word about this series to all your friends in the Fordham community and have them tune in. We continue our series of conversations with a multiple record holder in track and field. She graduated in 2007 with indoor school records in, are you ready? The 55-meter hurdles, the high jump, the shot put, long jump, the triple jump, and pentathlon. She was also a member of the record-setting 4x400 relay team. Then she went outdoors and set records in the 100-meter hurdles, 400-meter hurdles, high jump, shot put, long jump, triple jump, and heptathlon. If you're counting, she left Roselle with 14 school records, 8 of which still stand, and as a senior, became the first Fordham female student athlete to earn All-American honors. Fortunately for us, she's sitting still to chat. We welcome back to Fordham from her home in Germany, one of the nation's elite track and field performers who made an indelible mark on campus, Kerstin Greene. What an honor it is to have you with us, Kerstin. Thank you. And let me also thank you on behalf of our audience, honoring our audience by conducting this chat from Germany in English. Thank you for doing that.
I'm trying my best. Thank you.
There are so many records to review that if I did them individually and reviewed them with you individually, we wouldn't have any time to talk. So the first question is, how big is the trophy case at home?
Oh, Jesus, it's huge, and it has more memories that are probably worth a lot more than the trophies itself, because every trophy and every medal actually tells a story, and that's what I look back to, and that's wonderful, because now the kids are asking. They're asking actually about today. What are you doing? Why are you doing this interview? Why do they have questions for you? They have no clue about what mom did in the past, so it's exciting.
But they will learn. How old are your children?
They're 2.5, 7, and 8.
Wow, that's great.
You're
blessed. That's wonderful. You were born in Germany, the daughter of a German mother and an American Air Force sergeant. Talk about your folks and your upbringing in Frankfurt.
I had a wonderful childhood. I probably had the best parents one can actually wish for. My parents were very keen into, starting me into sports at a very early age. When I was about 5 or 6, I got to try everything from tennis to ballet to basketball to track and field to inline speed skating. And inline speed skating was actually my first career. I was on the German national team for that, and garnered a couple of medals there, which was great. I think I have like 17 German champs and 24 like state champs or something. And once that was over, because it wasn't an Olympic sport, I was trying to actually go into a different sport that was of Olympic potential. So that's when I started track and field. And when I was about 14, I started quite late. And I had a brother that I grew up with who also attended Fordham, who was part of the basketball team. We were very close. I had a wonderful childhood, wonderful education, and all of the chances that one could actually wish for, I was offered by my parents. And so I ended up at Fordham eventually.
And that's what I want to talk about right here and right now. I know that you're very close to your older brother, Sebastian, and then he leaves Germany to come to Fordham to play basketball. But my question about that is, how did Fordham find Sebastian in Germany?
Actually, Sebastian left Germany when he was about 15. He wanted to play, his dream was to play in the NBA. So he knew that he wouldn't be able to really reach that goal being in Germany. I mean, the only player that actually made it at that time was Dirk Nowitzki. So he decided to go to the United States, and he stayed with my older half brother who stayed in Indianapolis, Indiana. So he attended that high school, and that's where he got recruited from by Fordham. So he played in the US. And I was kind of hoping after high school he would return to Germany. And after I realized that he was recruited by an American college, I was so sad that I decided for myself, you know what, I don't think I can handle this for another 4 years being without him. So at that time, I had actually quit track and field already, and I didn't compete for about a year and a half or maybe two. And I went back to my old track coach, and I said, listen, I looked up the records at Fordham. This is how high I need to jump. Can we figure this out in 4 weeks? And he says, 4 weeks? Are you crazy? I said, well, let's bring it on. And so I went to track practice. I think I practiced for like a week. I went to my first competition a week later. I jumped whatever I needed to jump. And then I applied to Fordham hoping that they would accept me. And it eventually ended up in a full-time, full ride scholarship.
But you had made Sebastian a promise about,
Yes.
and I'd like you to talk about that.
Well, I promised him that I would try my best to actually be with him. And that was at that time, I did make that promise, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep up with it, because I was totally relying on Fordham to actually accept me and to grant me with a full ride scholarship, because the cost of university in the United States is a whole different story. If you decide to go to college in the US, parents start saving up money the minute a child gets born. In Germany, we don't have to pay for college. So obviously there was no money that was put aside, by my parents or myself. So I was totally relying on then Coach Dewey to actually give me a full ride scholarship. And yeah, that was the promise that I made to him, that I would try my best to actually get accepted. And it was a struggle. I remember it was a struggle.
Kerstin, you ran track as a teenager, but then you stopped.
Yeah, I stopped because actually I remember now I had a second love, and that second love was music. I always wanted to become a singer, and at that point I didn't really see a future in me running track. I kind of felt like it was always more of my mother's dream to, for her daughter to become successful in track. And I ran track for many years, and to me it was kind of boring at the time. I just loved being on stage. I wanted to, be an actress. I wanted to sing, and which I am now. I'm working as an actress and a singer now. So it eventually worked out, but at the time I just wanted to be more creative, and I felt like I had done so much sports in the past because I did a different sport before track and field. I felt like I just needed a change in life, and I quit actually.
And then, as you referenced earlier, both you and Sebastian became inline skaters. You were fabulously successful. You mentioned you won 17 youth championships, and you skated for your country in the 1996 European Championships. But
Yes.
then Mom had something to say about that, didn't she?
Well, yeah, I mean, my parents were very supportive, I have to say that. But, they tried to make sense of this whole support. Inline speed skating wasn't something that was very much supported by the government or by the club, by the teams. There was no teams like Rollerblade or K2 that, were really putting money into athletes back then. They do now. So basically, my sponsors were my parents. And they said, we're spending so much money, but it's not going anywhere. You're never going to be an Olympic athlete because the sport isn't Olympic. So they said, you know what? We're done. We cannot support this anymore, and find a sport that is Olympic where you can actually go somewhere. So Sebastian chose basketball, and I chose track and field.
But your power and speed and your success as a skater certainly translated naturally to track and field.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I still had, the muscle memory, I would want to believe that was, it was still there. I basically did a great transformation from speed skating. I had the endurance, I had the strength, and I think that's what's most important as an athlete. I always had the mindset to be a winner. And that's what probably helped me also in track and field.
Did you miss speed skating?
Oh, terribly. That was my heart. I mean, I still wish today, and they're still arguing about it, actually. It's still not an Olympic sport. Ice skating is, speed
Mhm.
skating on ice is, but not on track. So yeah, that really broke my heart. And I was mad about my parents for quite some time, actually. But I mean, I think it was a great decision because the career that I had after that and the experience that I had with Fordham, the years after that, I mean, that was just tremendously great.
He comes to Fordham to play forward, and you're 6 feet 2. How was your basketball game?
Oh, horrible. Oh, I have to tell you this story. I came to Fordham. Sebastian was with I forget them. Oh yeah, Derek Wittenberg was the coach, and the female coach for the women's basketball was Coach Lewis. And I remember he always talked to me. He's like, "Oh, you're Sebastian's sister. You need to come to play basketball." And I knew that I had obligations with the track and field team. I was very thankful that they gave me the full ride scholarship.
Mm.
And but he wouldn't stop. Every time I saw him on the track or somewhere in the gym, he's like, "Oh, you need to come. We need practice players, and maybe you'll figure out, basketball is the sport for you." And I told him, I cannot play, I cannot dribble, I cannot do free throws for my life. He would not want to listen. And then I tried out eventually. I was a practice player for a semester, and I just realized it was just too much to do two sports at the
Right.
same time because track and field has a winter season as well. It's not like we're off in the winter. So the combination of both was just too challenging. So, and then also, I had the obligation and the money and the funds that were, supporting my scholarship. So that decision was pretty clear to go back to track.
What a joy, though, for Sebastian and for yourself to both be at Fordham at the same time. And I'm sure great sources of mutual motivation.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for when I actually attended, but I came to realize that my brother was very engaged into his basketball practice. I felt like he was just practicing. He was nowhere to be seen. I felt like we didn't have a lot of time to actually enjoy Fordham together. Obviously, I was there at every basketball game, and yeah, I remember that I started working with the athletic department and running a lot of basketball events, not because I wanted to really work, but because I wanted to be close to my brother. So I tried everything to, to spend my time, my spare time with him working basketball events. And then I started singing the American anthem, the anthem before the games and stuff. So I tried to be involved, in his life as much as I could, but the spare time was very rare.
Talk about Coach Tom Dewey. He called you, quote, definitely the most versatile female athlete in the history of Fordham athletics. There's no question, unquote. Talk about him and your relationship with him.
Oh, that's heartwarming. I remember him saying that that was an interview that he gave. There was a TV station that came and interviewed him and me and a couple of other athletes. The first year, I didn't like him too much, to be honest. I thought he was too strict. I felt like he didn't understand where I was coming from. But looking back, he always had his interest was always the best for his athletes. But I was so concerned with myself at the time. And maybe to give you a little background story on before I attended Fordham, the biggest package that I was carrying before coming to Fordham was I had lost my boyfriend at the time. He got killed in a car accident. So with that trauma, I came to Fordham and I wasn't really ready to be friends with anyone. I didn't like anyone. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do that. And I was just very emotionally overwhelmed with a lot of situations. And then on top of that, my English was terrible. I mean, it wasn't even as good as you hear it now. I still have a little bit of an accent, but I failed a lot of classes because my comprehension wasn't as good as it is now. So I felt like there was a lot of misunderstanding also, more on my side than it was from Coach Dewey. He tried his very best. And then our relationship just blossomed like a flower over the next couple of years. And I started to really fall in love with him. He was just the greatest coach I had. He was such a nice guy. And I felt like the older I got, the more I was able to develop. I understood more of his philosophy. I just grew with him. And I think the combination of the two of us accepting and respecting each other was really the key to success in the end.
What did Jason George, your strength and conditioning coach, do for you? How did he help you achieve your benchmarks?
Oh, great guy. I felt like he was a lot more involved with the football teams and the basketball teams. Track and field wasn't really working so much with him, but I realized that I needed to ask for more time if I want to become successful. So I remember going into the weightlifting studio and I said, listen, you're working with my brother with the basketball team, you're working with the football team, but there's not really like a training plan in the mornings for track and field. Why not? Like, can I come in at 6 o'clock in the morning before my classes start? And he's like, yeah, sure. So he set up a plan and that's when I showed up. And I think, going that extra mile with him also, realizing that, not only working on the track and being a good student, I also have to put in the work in, with weights, with lifting. And that's where Jason George actually came about. And he helped me a lot, building up my strength and giving me that little extra to perform outstandingly.
So outstanding that you'd run with the men's track team and you'd beat them.
Oh, you remember that? Oh, who told you that?
We have a tremendous research staff, Kerstin, tremendous.
Yes, that was actually yeah. How did that happen? I mean, I had a great team of girls around me. They were all really amazing, very supportive, and I felt like a lot of them were almost a little bit my little fan. They were just cute, and considering that I was a lot older than most of my track teammates, because high school ends a lot or takes a lot longer in Germany. So I started my freshman year when I was nearly 23 already. So I felt like they always considered me as their older sister or kind of like a mom role. And they were very cute, but obviously I was a little bit further in my athleticism and where I wanted to be in my mindset. And so I approached Dewey. I'm like, listen, if I want to go somewhere, if I want to be more successful, I'm going to have to challenge myself. So I asked him, how about I do, the runs on track with the guys? I don't think he was too happy about it when I first mentioned it to him, but he eventually agreed, and that's where I ended up. So I did all of the runs with the guys, and that was great.
You had never done a triple jump in your life, and then you go out and win the Atlantic 10 championship and set a Fordham record.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
Did that surprise you?
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. Really, I mean, I'll tell you how I did it. I went back into my room. I went on YouTube and I looked up the technique for triple jump, because at the time, triple jump wasn't really, we didn't have a triple jumper on the team. And I always thought that was great. I mean, I'm 6'2". I knew I was tall. I had the strength. Why not use my length to actually do triple jump and gain some more points for the school for each track and field meet? So I just went online, took a look at the technique, and went downstairs in the track and field. How do you say, hall? See, that's when sometimes my English is leaving me. But I went there by myself in the morning and I just went into the sand pit and I did some drills, some jumping drills. And then I told Coach Dewey, I'm like, listen, let's try triple jump. I think I could be good at it. And yeah, it was my first track meet, 810s, and I won it, and it was a school record. It was crazy. Couldn't believe it. It was crazy.
Kerstin, what drove you as an athlete?
You know, I always wanted to be the best version of myself every day. And I knew that if I'm a successful athlete, I can always be a role model for other girls and younger kids. That's what always drove me. I mean, it wasn't too much of my own ego driving me somewhere or to brag about, you know, achievements. It was more telling other girls and young ladies that, you know, if you put in the effort, you can really change someone's life because you show people that things are really possible. And I think that was my drive behind it all.
Favorite event of all the events that you participated in, which one?
Oh, that must be, I mean, I had a couple. I have my top three, but I think my favorite was the NCAAs in Arkansas. That was probably my most competitive event as well. It was indoor NCAAs, and I did the pentathlon. I remember I wasn't even qualified for the event. And then I kind of got up because there was some athletes who couldn't take part. And so I got into the event at, I think with the 16th place or something, attending the event. And then once the event started, I ended up becoming an All-American, finishing up 4th. And I think in almost every event I did like a school record or so. And I think the high jump was a USA record even within the pentathlon.
Toughest event of all of them was which?
The
Most
800.
challenging.
Oh, I hated the 800. I mean, I wish that wasn't part of the pentathlon and the heptathlon. I just didn't do good with the whole running thing. I remember when we practiced it, that was something that I needed to practice with the girls because we had some good runners on the team, and I sure wasn't the best 800-meter runner. Yeah, the 800 was probably the most challenging for me.
Biggest win of all of them was where?
Fayetteville, Arkansas, NCAA's 4th place, All-American.
Biggest disappointment?
Biggest disappointment. I can't remember.
Maybe there were none.
Which is a good sign because which is a good sign. But maybe it could have been probably like an 810 championship because I was busy with doing so many events at the same time because I was involved in the heptathlon, and then coach also put me in individual events also. So I had probably like in 2 days, I had like 13 or 14 events that I was doing. And so obviously, you know, after I was done with the heptathlon, you just want to bury yourself. You just want to sleep for 24 hours. I had to do another 7. So obviously my performance was just not up there. And I think, you know, I mean, I knew that was the reason, but that was very disappointing. Yeah.